This Friday on The Record Collectors, we have the man the record collectors call Mr. David Bowie. No, I don't mean the singing man himself, but the man who is regarded as the top collector of David Bowie records. We've got Marshall Jarman from Crew coming in to talk about the rarities, the oddities, the promotional material, everything and anything that you want to know about David Bowie. Not only will he tell you about what's going on with David, but you can talk to him on our special phone in as well, and the number is 0743 248 321. And lots more music on The Record Collectors from the 50s right through to the 80s. This Friday, 7 till 9.
Walking with Mr. Lee there by Lee Allen. We hope you're going to walk with The Record Collectors from right now till 9 o'clock. It's Chris Savory and Mike Adams. We've got a lot of goodies lined up for you tonight. Heard you missed me, so I'm back. So we've got Marshall Jarman coming in to talk about David Bowie. He is the, in my opinion, expert on David Bowie, and you'll be able to talk to him as well in the phone-in 0743 248 321 between 8 and 8:30. So we're going to have a little chat to him, and then later on, if you want to ask him any questions, you can do so. And then the last half hour, 8:30 till 9, we're going to look at Philadelphia Records Cameo Parkway. That's right, isn't it, Mike?
It is indeed.
The leading expert on David Bowie in the country, Marshall Jarman from Crew. Marshall, welcome to the programme.
Nice to be here, Chris.
Thank you. Now, that sounded different to me than the version that I've got at home.
Yeah, this is what we call the USA mix.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the States, Rebel Rebel received two separate releases. The standard Rebel Rebel, which came out everywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
And also this one, which is, as you can tell, completely different with all the phasing and everything.
Yeah, how can I tell just looking at the label? If I was just going through a pile... So I was at a record fair in your area, St. Crew, and I was going through a pile of Bowie records. How could I tell the difference just by looking?
The easiest way is by looking at the B-side.
Yeah.
Because this version has Lady Grinning Soul on the B-side, whereas every other version has Queen Bitch.
Got it.
On the B-side. So it's a very easy way to tell that, Chris.
Right, now can I ask you one question? I want to clear this up because is it Bowie or Bowie?
It's Bowie, Mr. Savory.
Got it.
And thank you, Chris Savory. Listen, next time...
There's no comment to that, is there?
I'll tell you something, he has blushed, and that's a rare event since the last time he got his wallet out, folks, so we must take that where it is. You're interested in David Bowie. Where did it begin?
Where did my interest in Bowie begin?
Where did it start for you?
The first time I actually saw him was miming, which was in 1969. He was doing a mime act with Tyrannosaurus Rex. I'd never heard of him until then. The first record I bought was Space Oddity, which came out later that year.
Yeah. Where did you see the mime act?
The mime act, that was at the Free Trade Hall. They did a short tour, apparently, in Manchester, of about 5 different venues around the country.
And what was it about the man at that time that sort of crikey? I mean, because T-Rex, was some act. I mean,
that's why I went to see Tyrannosaurus Rex. No, I've never heard of this guy, David Bowie, but I was impressed with his mind because I like things like that. But I have to admit, I never heard of him again until the Space Oddity single came out, which I bought, and of course it's a beautiful record.
How many records of David Bowie's have you got?
Have I got? Different ones. Well, counting all the different variations from around the world, all the different picture sleeves, different demos, etc. There's just over 2,000 different records. I haven't got them all, but I've got pretty close to it, I think.
You have. Yeah. Now, I didn't know Marshall has written articles in the Record Collector magazine about David Bowie, so that's the authority he is. And David Bowie is one of the world's most collectible artists. Now, if you have any questions about David Bowie tonight, you have the opportunity to put them directly to Marshall, because Marshall's sitting in our phone-in tonight. 0782
0743 248 321.
0742.
Get that sign up. Come on, he's got the number wrong again.
0742 248.
0743.
Hang on, Chris, got the wrong
0743.
0743. The real school.
248.
321.
321.
So if you have any questions at all on that, ring us now, 248-321, and Marshall will be able to answer those between 8 and 8:30. Out of all those records you have, what's your favourite David Bowie record?
I like them all, mate.
Come on, you've got to have something that is something that you think is really special.
I like the Prettiest Star, the original version. I think it's a lovely song.
What is the attraction, though, of David Bowie? I mean, why he's such a huge star, but what is it you think that he's got that perhaps his contemporaries don't have? What is it about him that you feel is so special?
Everything. I think a lot of it is his diversity. He can certainly turn his hand to doing anything. Let's face it, he's a stage actor, film actor, records, he does all types of different kinds of music. And as far as a live show goes, which to me is the thing, live shows, nobody can touch him, let's face it.
Well, let's look at a bit more of his music. What are we going to take now from your wide selection of David Bowie records? Where are we going to go to now?
Does this go to the start, Marshall? Because I think it's a nice bit, just before we play this record, to actually come in at the very beginning, because I think this record is connected with the beginnings, isn't it?
It is. This is his first ever record from 1964, Liza Jane by Davy Jones with the King Bees.
Jones and the King Bees there. Liza Jane, which is the second choice, really, of our guest tonight on the Record Collectors, Marshall Jarman. Just before we carry on, Marshall, a quick announcement that the A41 and the A49 are now clear. The A41 and the A49 are now clear. Now, what I'd like to do now, Marshall, is to actually ask you if you could give us some kind of brief history on like the beginnings of David Bowie, and also talk about possibly some of the values of the earliest releases. Now, that one that we've got there, that one we actually played, was a Decca demo, which is the second issue, obviously, but you've also got the Vocalion issue there. Can you do something like, you know, prices of early stuff and where he went, what he did, etc.?
Yes,
that's a mammoth task, isn't it?
But we're fighting over this record.
I brought the Vocalion one with me, but knowing Chris Savory, I've given him the reissue to play.
Very wise man. That is worth a lot of money, isn't it, the Vocalion pop single? That's B9221.
That's the one, yeah. The original now fetches 200 plus.
Now, there was a parrot copies of that, and just so people realise the difference, the parrot copy of Vocalion Pop, that's Liza Jane, Davy Jones and the King Bees, has not got a press-out centre.
That's correct, yes. It's a light foreign single. It's no press-out centre.
So if you've got Vocalion Pop B9221 Liza Jane, you're looking at £200.
200 plus, yeah.
Yeah. Does a red demo exist of it? Because the other
red demo, the demo is black label, the same as the issue.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the Vocalion stuff at that time were red, weren't they, the demonstration copies?
I believe so. You know more about that than I do. I know that the Liza Jane demo is exactly the same. It's a black label, but it's got demonstration written on it.
Have you seen
the top left-hand corner? I've got one. Yeah.
And how much is that worth? Can you tell me that?
Probably only about the same as the issue, because I think there's probably less issues than demos, actually. It's a lot rarer than people think.
Yeah, well, let's just have a look, if I may, at the single you've got in front of me here. Now, I'm quite honest about it. I've never, ever seen this before. No, frankly, I wasn't even aware of its existence. This is from Australia, and it's RCA Australia, Breaking Glass by David Bowie. I mean, and it's from the LP Low. I mean, I've never seen it on single anywhere, at all, like this. I mean, tell me about this.
This is very interesting, because Breaking Glass was released as a live EP around the world, but Breaking Glass as a studio version This is the only single of that, this Australian one. And the interesting thing is, it's over a minute longer than the version on the album Low. And it's one that I can't find out anything about. I know people in Australia that haven't heard of it. So it's very interesting.
I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to go back to that original question, a brief history of David Bowie. But before then, Marshall, we're going to talk to Brian Beard and find out what's happening over at Crew. What's happening then, Brian?
You always pick the nights, don't you?
Right, let's go on to this history of David Bowie then. It started, am I right in thinking, Bromley, Beckenham, Penge, that area?
That's right, yes. If you want a history of his recorded work, that
single we just played, Liza Jane, was his first ever recorded output, and the name of the band was Davy Jones with the King Bees. After that, the 60s turned out to be a very frustrating time for Bowie because he kept swapping record labels and releasing records that nobody bought, and it wasn't until 1969 that he had any kind of recorded success, when Space Oddity came out on the Philips label. That got to number 5 in the charts and stayed there for ages.
Various types of various forms, isn't it? Press out centres, solo centres. Can you now that we get asked a lot about that single on the programme about that particular one, and can you just clarify for the benefit of our listener that if there's any difference in prices on that particular single on the old Philips label?
Yeah, well, the UK one, there's
that's what I'm talking about.
A mono copy which has mono written on it. There's a stereo copy which has nothing written on it. There's also some with a push-out centre, some didn't have push-out centre. Then there's a demo copy in stereo, which has stereo written on the label. But that is quite rare. It's a £60 record.
But this dispense with the demo for the moment. What about the others? What value? Is there any difference between those different types, or are they all worth about the same price?
About the same. If it's got the push-out centre, you can expect to get a bit more money, maybe £12 to £15, because there's not so many with the push-out centre.
Right. And that's interesting, because that's a question that comes up regularly. And if you want to actually ask more about David Bowie, 0743 248 321, because Marshall will be sitting through the phone. Now, have you got a different version of that record to play? Have you got one up your sleeve? You're grinning at me.
I'm grinning at you.
Yeah. Right. Have you got a different version of that record to play for me?
A different version of this Breaking Glass?
No, the Space Oddity.
Oh, the Space Oddity, yes. Yeah. Well, another thing as well, at the time, he did a couple of concerts out in Italy. And so I guess the Italians must have thought that if they put some Italian lyrics to it, it might sell better. It was also released in Italy as Space Oddity in English, but a fella called Ivan Mogul wrote words called Ragazzo Solo Ragazza Sala, which means lonely boy, lonely girl, and it was released in Italy as that, lonely boy, lonely girl, with the same music.
And here it is.
La mia mente ha preso al volo un pensiero, uno solo. Io cammino mentre dorme la città, i suoi occhi nella notte, fanali bianchi nella notte, una voce che mi parla, chi sarà? Dimmi ragazzo solo dove vai, perché tanto dolore hai perduto senza dubbio un grande amore, ma di amore è tutta piena la città. ragazzo solo, dove andrai? La notte è un grande mare, se ti serve la mia mano per nuotare. Grazie, ma stasera io vorrei morire, perché sai negli occhi miei c'è un angelo che ormai non vola più, che ormai non vola più, che ormai non vola più. C'è i colori della vita.
Well, there you are. If you think you're listening to Radio Turin tonight, you're not. You're listening to the Record Collectors, BBC, right through the Midlands, of course, WM, Stoke and Radio Shropshire, right through till 9 o'clock, with our very special guest, Marshall Jarman, who is talking about David Bowie. Sorry, David Bowie. David Bowie, I've forgotten now. David Bowie, I've got it wrong, Mr. Savary, yes. David Bowie and his recordings. Now, that one, of course, in Italian. What is the value of that?
Actually, it was released on 2 different labels. The first pressing was on a black label, Black Phillips label, which is slightly rarer than the second pressing, which is Blue Phillips label. It's talking about 150 quid.
150.
Yeah.
And did it come with a picture sleeve?
It's nice though, isn't it?
It's lovely.
It works, doesn't it, in Italian?
Yeah. Did it come with a picture sleeve?
Oh, yes.
Yes. And that is the value with the picture sleeve?
With the picture sleeve, yes.
With the picture sleeve.
There's so many people that just collect picture sleeves, and it's the sleeve that makes it. They've got to be, for 150 quid, it's got to be more or less brand new.
Yep. Can I ask you one or two questions about Bowie possibly recording with other people? There's often this rumour that Bowie was on the Dib Cochran recording, and of course there's one you've got lined up later on, Arnold Corns. I wonder if you could just explain some of these myths, whether they were true or not, and what was going on.
Because he was friendly with Mark Bolan, they were good friends, weren't they?
Listen, they were good friends, but according to Tony Visconti, who everybody knows was the producer of Mark Bolan and some of Bowie's stuff, Bowie was not on the Dib Cochran single. Visconti said he played bass on it, but said Bowie was not involved at all. I think there was an article in Record Collector about that as well.
Yes, it's just you never know, so we thought we'd ask you. Now, you've got another record lined up, which in a way to me fits in with that, because it's by the Arnold Corns.
It's a great name, isn't it?
It's a great name. How does that relate into Bowie then?
Yeah, well, Arnold Corns was a project that Bowie set up in the early 70s. It was actually a fella called Freddie Burretti, who used to work for Mr. Fish in London, who was a dress designer, who used to design for Bowie. And he changed his name to Rudy Valentino. Which is it's a good name for Mike Adams, that, Mike Valentino. And they released this record by calling themselves Arnold Corns. But the reason why it's so interesting is it's because it was songs that later came out on the Ziggy Stardust album in 72. And so it gives you an idea as what kind of direction Bowie was working in at that time.
Yeah, but Bowie's not actually on...
He is on the record, he's singing on the record. In fact, his vocals are far more prominent than the other guys. That's a fact, yeah.
Let's talk about the price of the record then. What's it worth?
Well, this particular one that you're playing now is a Dutch issue in a picture sleeve.
And who's the picture of at the front?
The picture on the front is Freddie Burretti, alias Rudy Valentino.
Right.
Well, this one is extremely rare. I think it's rarer than any of the other Dutch records, including Dutch Prettiest Star, Memory, Memory of a Free Festival. Let's say it fetches about £80, not as much as the Prettiest Star and Memory of a Free Festival, because it isn't strictly entirely Bowie. But still £80, yeah, must be.
Now, that came out over here on B&C.
Yeah, the first... it came out twice on B&C. The first one was Moon Age Daydream, Back with Hang On To Yourself, which was B&C 149, and it was reissued later on with Hang On To Yourself on one side, Man in the Middle on the other side.
Yeah, now
so there's 3 songs on 2 singles.
Yeah, prices on those 2 then?
The first one's the hardest one to get, that's about £40. Yep. The second one isn't quite so difficult to get, say £20.
Yep. Has that not been, shall we say, bootlegged up recently? Is there not a 6-track EP on B&C supposed to be by them, or a 3-track EP?
It's a 3-track EP, it's all 3 songs on it, and it's got an absolutely perfect copy of the B&C label. Yeah. So when it first came out, a lot of people were fooled. They thought they got something genuine, but it is in fact a counterfeit or bootleg, if you like.
So it is a counterfeit.
It is.
Yeah. So what's this record that we've got now coming up? What's it called?
This is Arnold Corns with Hang On To Yourself.
Mother had a good thing going, and you know, Mother had a thing on. My baby got out last Monday, and me, I'm on a radio show. So come on, So come on, we really got a good thing going. Well, come on, if you think we're gonna make it, you better hang on to yourself. We're gonna make it, you better hang on to yourself. Come on, we really got a good thing going. Well, come on, if you think we're gonna make it, you better hang on to yourself. All right.
Corns there. Hang on to yourself. An £80 sound on Dutch picture sleeve. Now, before we go back on the Record Collectors to talk to Marshall Jarman about Bowie memorabilia, we're just going to find out what's happening at various football matches. So let's go down. We promised you that we'd go down to Aldershot to find out how Port Vale are getting on. If I remember to Angus and Brian, Riders in the Sky Beard much later on. But special guest tonight on the Record Collectors. Just a few minutes left. Marshall Jarman from Crew.
Well, Marshall, you brought with you some amazing bits and pieces of articles here. One, firstly, let's talk a little bit about memorabilia. You've got here a letter written by David Bowie to a lady in Thatcham, Newbury. Tell us, how did you acquire the letter, and a little bit about it, and does Bowie write often to his fans, and if so, when does it happen, how does it happen, and how much does it cost? An easy question, well, but let's deal with this letter here that was dated the 6th of February 1974. I like the last paragraph on it. You know it's your letters and cards and applause after each show which makes me able to carry on and devise new ideas and schemes to entertain you and make me happy. Don't ever stop. Love on you. Bowie, with the classic Bowie signature there. What's that worth, this letter? There's 4 paragraphs, I've only quoted one.
No, lots of people used to write in the early 70s, and very rarely they get a reply. So it's quite unusual to find a letter like this. One was auctioned at Christie's auction last summer and fetched nearly £200.
One could argue you could write letters all day long and never go out to work, couldn't he?
Yeah,
so let's move on a little bit. Here is the world-famous, one of the rarest and also one of the most known albums in the world, the David Bowie, The Man Who Sold the World, with the famous dress cover on at the front. Now, I'm acquainted with that record, but not acquainted with the one you have here, which, again, I've never seen before. It's not the British copy, is it? Tell me about this one.
This is an Australian copy, and I don't think many people realise it was in actual fact released in Australia. As you can see, it's the same front and back covers, but the record itself is on the Red Mercury label, very different label.
Yes.
Extremely rare record.
Now, again...
Value on that?
Value, 250.
What about the British version of it? What's that worth?
150.
150.
Yeah. Don't forget, there's a couple of counterfeits of that one about, which makes it difficult.
How can I tell the difference, then?
One of the counterfeits is easy to tell the difference because it's got a white label. There's another counterfeit made in Japan, which is a superb counterfeit, which has the Black Mercury label and everything. The easiest way to tell is to look on the spine of the record, where the writing, David Bowie, The Man Who Sold the World, is upside down. It's a Japanese for you, see, upside down.
Well, there you are. If it's written upside down the spine, it's not the real one. Now this...
This is interesting.
This is, I'll just explain, it's like an album cover, which is framed, an album cover of an album that I've never seen, and has it been released? It's Bowie Dance.
Bowie Dance. No, it never got released. It should have come out in 1985, and it was a collection of 7 of Bowie's recent hits on EMI, 12-inch extended mixes. But for some reason, I don't think they've even pressed any up, but the artwork is available, and I've got it here.
Well, I mean, have you come with Securica or what? I mean, what's that worth? I
can't imagine what that's worth. I don't know anybody in Europe that's got this one.
Describe the cover to us, will you?
Well, the cover is a kind of Bowie looking a bit like Fred Astaire. He's got a white suit on with a white top hat in one hand and a white umbrella in the other. And it's got rain coming down. I mean, the rain is coloured. It's rather garish because the rain is like purple and red. It could have been a very effective cover if they used different colours.
A nice cover.
Can
I ask you, this is a leading question. You may not want to answer it, so you can duck it, because we don't try... This programme isn't about putting people in the hot seat, really. How did he acquire such an item? How does that... if it's never released, how did you acquire? Would you just exchange, swapping, or what?
I traded it with an American guy, I know, yes.
And so that's how you acquire it?
He works in the industry, so that's probably where he's got it from.
And we must push on, because the phones are going. We've got people ringing in about David Bowie, and I know they're queuing out there now, so let's look at this sheet music. This is the track we played earlier, Liza Jane, sheet music with David Jones and the King Bees. You framed this beautifully. It's got the original King Bees group, which is Dave, George, Roger, Bob, and in the centre, a very young-looking David Bowie. Beautifully put together, 2 and 6pence when Dick James Music Post put it out. What's that worth?
Yeah, this is extremely rare, much rarer than the record. It's not like the Beatles sheet music from the 60s that I was talking about earlier with Chris, where you can still find it nowadays because the record sold in such large quantities. But this, the record, nobody bought the record, so even fewer people bought the sheet music. I did have another copy once, and I sold it for £250.
This is incredible money. And finally, because we must push on because Chris has got something to ask you as well. Here's an audio disc from the 27th of November 1968, and this is an acetate. Looks like a one-sided acetate. It says Ching-a-ling on it, is that right?
That's right, mate.
Tell me something about this. What is it, and who is it?
Well, in 1968, Bowie had a band called Turquoise, and he later changed the name to Feathers. It was a 3-piece mime and dance folk music type of thing, and he just cut the one disc, this one called the Ching-a-ling Song, and this is the acetate from that.
I don't ask you what it's worth.
No.
Has it ever been released at all?
No, it's not been released.
So, we could have played it, couldn't we?
You could have played it if you wanted to.
Yeah, by Joe, a few tapes have been going tonight. What is that worth? Have we played that? What's it worth as a single?
I've been offered $500 for it, but I think if I wanted to sell it, I'd have to auction it.
Right, amazing. I'd like to have heard that, actually. We probably have people saying, why on earth didn't you play the unreleased single? But we may have to bring you back and do a part 2 of David Bowie, I think.
Yeah, now what we're going to do now, Marsh, is obviously we're going to open up the phone lines, and then at about 8:30 we'll play a final record by David Bowie, Bang Bang live version. You can tell us about it then. So we'll take a couple of calls first. Now, I know we've got some questions that have come in, and we also want to ask you a little bit more just before the end of the phone, and about a book that's just come out that you're responsible for. So first of all, we'll go to a few of the phone-ins, and don't forget, if you want to talk to Marshall about David Bowie tonight, he is the expert. The number to ring is 0743 248 321. 0743 248 321. But now we're going to go and talk to...
Let's move on to our next caller now, and we're off to Birmingham.
Ken Prentice. Hello, Ken.
Hello there.
How are you?
I'm fine, yourself?
Oh, fine. What's it about tonight, then?
I could have a couple of variations off you.
Yes, go on.
Fine, you've got a Bowie expert on there. Well, I've got one double Bowie LP.
Well, let's come to can we come to the Bowie one in a second? Yeah. And take your second question first and your first question second. So what's your next question?
Well, more variations. Another double LP, the Walker Brothers story.
Right. Which edition of it have you got?
Well, it's on Philips.
Oh, that's the
DBL 008.
Is that the blue label one?
You say getting the record out the sleeve?
Yeah.
No, more black.
Right. Now, that one, I'd put that between the double album. What condition is it in?
Pretty good.
No scratches on it or anything like that. The sleeve is complete. About 8, but it'd have to be really good for 8. Walker Brothers, that album did sell quite a bit.
I'll take 750 off you.
Well, pardon? 750. Right. Now, I'm going to actually hand my headset over to my to Marshall here so he can hear your actual question, because you couldn't hear it before, so we're working out of cans, you see. So I'll put my cans on to Marshall, and you ask your question about David Bowie.
Right, Ken. So, and anyone else, of course, if you want to ask anything about David Bowie tonight, this is your time to do it, because it's no good asking us next week, because we tell you should have asked tonight. Right, okay, Ken, Marshall's ready. Fire away.
Hello, Marshall.
Hello, Ken.
I've got Bowie's double album stage on yellow vinyl.
Yeah.
What's it worth, mate?
Yeah, about 15 quid.
Oh, lovely. Bargain then. I didn't pay that much for it.
It also came out in Holland on yellow vinyl and blue vinyl.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's in good condition, so I'm open to offers on for anybody.
When you say good, do you mean in the general trade virtually mint?
Oh, it's virtually mint, yeah.
Yeah, because if you say good, Ken, I'll just mention this.
Good. Excellent.
Yeah, because you know what good means generally.
Yeah, I've bought a few good records in my time.
I know, but there you are. You've got a valuation anyway, so I'm sure that's a great help for you.
It is very much so.
Okay, Ken?
So could I just have, before you go, I just have another couple of evaluations?
Go on.
Very quickly then.
I've got quite a few Stoner Crows records.
Yep.
How much do they fetch you?
Questions here, Mike, that Marshall might like to answer. Paul Daly from Broseley wants to know the value of David Bowie's full-colour sleeve, station to station.
Well, in the UK, there's only one known copy of that, and it isn't actually a made-up sleeve. It's just 24 inches by 12 inches card, folded in the middle, with a white label test pressing.
Yep.
In the States, there are made-up sleeves, and also art proofs that you can get. They go for about 200 quid. But luckily for people who like Bowie, it has been counterfeited. Yeah. And there are counterfeit copies of that colour sleeve at the moment at record fairs.
How can you tell the difference? Or can't you?
Well, you can't really.
Except
except that the original ones come with a record with the white label.
Yeah.
Now, I've got another question. This is a hard one, this. Gary Marsh, you know Gary Marsh, who's a keen record collector. Did My Death ever get officially issued by David Bowie?
No. Although it's a bit of a poser because there was an acetate on the audio disc of My Death. But it's live from Santa Monica 1972. Now, at the time, they were considering releasing a live double album of that show, so it is possible they're intended to release a single of it. So it wouldn't seem a very appropriate song to release as a single somehow.
Now, on that very, very subject, the RCA tapes of David Bowie, because there is quite a bit they haven't released, isn't there? The RCA have got. I mean, is it likely now, because of change of labels and circumstances, is it ever likely? Are you into, because you know so much about the man, are you into the contractual side? Have you seen what can be released and what can't be released? Do you know much about that?
I don't really know, Mike.
But there's quite a bit there.
I should imagine there is, yes.
So is there a possibility, do you think?
It could be a possibility if they thought it was commercially viable, yes.
Right, well, we move on now. We've answered a couple of questions there that people just phoned in about, said, don't really want to go on the phone, but if Marshall can help out. But we move on now to another actual live phone call on the Record Collectors, of course, right through till 9 o'clock. Kevin Hill from Market Drayton wants to talk to Marshall and ask him also about David Bowie. Kevin, how are you, mate?
Fine, thank you.
It is Market Drayton, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Right, Marshall's ready. Fire your question.
Firstly, I'd just like to say thank you for playing the television Space Oddity.
Oh, you're welcome.
Because
beautiful song.
A few tracks of his that I've not actually got. How much would you expect to pay for the 1965 issues of Take My Tip and You've Got a Habit of Leaving?
Yeah. Take My Tip by the Manish Boys.
Yeah.
Which was his second single. That fetched about 150 for a mint copy.
Yeah.
The Davy Jones one on Parlophone is actually much rarer than people realise. I think it's at least as rare as Liza Jane on Vocalion. And I recently sold one. It went for £180.
How much would you expect to pay for the You've Got a Habit of Leaving one? For the lower third?
The what? You've Got a Habit of Leaving, that was by Davy Jones on Parlophone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say I just sold one for £180.
Because I've got a copy of the David Bowie Black Book.
Yeah.
And he's credited as doing that with the lower third.
Yeah. But it just says Davy Jones on the record.
Oh, yeah, okay. And the Fashion's 7-inch picture disc set?
Still available in some shops in London.
Yeah, how much would you expect to pay for it?
About £25.
£25.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Right, you're welcome.
And thanks for your call there. If you've got any questions, again, the Shrewsbury 248321. Marshall Jarman's our special guest tonight on the Record Collectors. It doesn't preclude the ordinary questions. We had a question now about an Elvis picture disc value, the Jailhouse. I'll just double check that on the old paper.
Right, you check that one up. I want to ask Marshall something. Well, we're just waiting to. We're trying to sort out phone calls and football tonight, and we're trying to get in half time so you can see what's happening. Marshall, something we didn't mention earlier on, of course, is that besides being a collector, an expert, I know you also kind of swap various Bowie singles and memorabilia and that, but you've also written a book which I've had, I suppose, an advanced copy of, because mine's a different colour than the one that the general public have, called Shining Star, which I found so fascinating. All the memorabilia that you had in there photographed. Can you tell us a little bit about this book that you've literally, I assume, has just been published, hasn't it?
That's right, just been published. It is, in fact, a collector's guide to last year's Glass Spider tour. It covers the entire tour, all 86 shows. All details of all the records that came out from the tour, every show was in the venue, anything interesting Bowie said, anything shown on the television, all the backstage passes, all the tickets. In fact, everything. I don't think there's anything missing from last year's tour in the book.
And it's glossy printing. It's A4, isn't it?
That's right, A4.
Lots of photographs and things like that. Now, if people would like a copy of the book, because obviously, judging by the questions and the phone calls we've had on Bowie tonight, there's obviously people who want to get in touch with you. Do you have a phone number? Can you give a phone number out for people to call you at?
Well, if they want a copy of the book, they can buy one from me, price £6 plus 50 pence postage, from Marshall Jarman, 267 Walfall Street. That's WALTHALL, Crewe in Cheshire.
Yep. And can we give a phone number if they'd like to talk to you or not?
You can if you want. It's 0270.
Yep, which is Crewe, of course.
Yeah.
0270
256
220.
I just want to go back quickly to that Fats Domino single, because something was rattling me when we were talking about it, because...
Got to kind of wind up the phone in and very sadly say goodbye to Marshall.
But maybe not goodbye to our listener, to Marshall, because Marshall is kindly offered to, if there's any calls particularly about David Bowie or about the book, will actually stay by the phone now and accept calls on Shrewsbury 248 321. So you want to talk to Marshall, the Mr. Bowie of Great Britain, a man who knows just about everything about David Bowie, the expert, then he is here now. So if you've got some old David Bowie records or some new ones, now's the chance for you to actually speak to the expert direct. Shrewsbury 248 321, and Marshall will be going through that. Just to say very quickly, Marshall, many thanks for coming on the programme.
It was a pleasure.
And I'm sure, we'll get a load of mail next week saying, when's this man coming on again? I'm dying to play that acetate because it's never been pressed up, and it's a legal piece of plastic, so I've been looking forward to playing that because I know lots of people would love to hear it. So come back soon.
Yes, I'd love to come back again.
And we'll fix a date before you leave this evening for a return visit on David Bowie. But in the interim, bye for now, and to man the phones, because I'm sure there's people that want to talk to you.
Yeah, and also, we did say you were going out with something on CD, so we've said bye-bye, but you've got to say something before you go. Tell us what this is.
Well, the good news for the fans is that the official video from last year will be out soon, and it's out in 2 parts. The first part in a couple of weeks, the second part about a month later. So, and it's from Montreal last year. So as a taster, here's Bang Bang, live at Montreal, 1987.
Let's go!
Bang Bang there, David Bowie. That's out on promotional CD at the moment. Thanks to Marshall Jarman for coming in, and if you want to have a little chat with him, don't forget that you can talk to him here, live, over the phone.
Right now.
In the other studio, and the number is 0743 248 321.
0743 248 321. Anything on David Bowie, and particularly that book that's come out, which I think is going to be extremely collectible. So David Bowie.